Hello and welcome to the show. I am back with some more footage from my time playing the full version of Forza Horizon 3 as we start with a big jump in the Lamborghini Centenario and a little bit of paddling in the sea. Didn't quite realise it was such a steep drop down to the beach. I kept the car out of the cliff. I mean, that's the plus point here. A very expensive Lamborghini didn't get splattered against a cliff. Just went for a little bit of a spin. I'll be honest, of all of there's a lot of new cars to the Forza franchise that are brought in for Horizon 3. The Centenario, while it's a cool car, I like it, is not at the top of my list for my favourite vehicles. It is kind of the cover car, and plenty of the early sort of beginning stuff is done in the Lamborghini. But yeah, for me there was plenty more excitement out there to be had, and it starts with your choice of first car. Naturally, there are 4 choices. The first 2, not particularly interested, and this was not a tough choice for me. It was only made complicated by about 5 seconds by the Shelby GT350R, because there is a Ute. The Maloo is an option as a beginning car. You know, I don't really care about the first 2. The Shelby is an excellent vehicle. I love the GT350R, but there is the option for a Ute, and naturally, that is going to be the option that I take. I am so glad that there are Utes here. I've wanted Utes in Forza for ages. I think they're absolutely fantastic vehicles, and we get to play around with one, and especially having it as a starting vehicle, it's pretty much a no-brainer. Once more, you know, the detail of the cars, showed it a little bit with the Opel Manta. The detail of these vehicles in Forza Vista is absolutely phenomenal. Fully customizable number plates on these as well, although I managed to forget my way through the alphabet to spell fail race. Thankfully, just long enough to get fail race on these plates, which is always helpful. Having got my vehicle selected, I do what any good Holden driver should, and that is crash into a Ford. Unintentionally, I will point that out. Wasn't quite sure where the driver tar was going to be heading, and when I realised it was just going to keep going straight, I got on the brakes, locked everything up, and on the sand you just go straight. And that's something that I did notice, having just gone from a big 4-wheel drive Lamborghini into this very powerful rear-wheel drive car. On the sand it does react a bit different. It struggles a little bit more to get going, there's more wheel spin, and definitely that first time jumping on the brakes, you know, you lock everything up, you've got very little in the way you can do with the steering. It impressed me. It impressed me the difference in the surfaces. Yeah, sure, you can still bound around off-road with a supercar and it won't break the car immediately. But the difference in handling was there. Not as pronounced as in a proper off-roading game, but still, the fact that it is there was quite interesting. Now, for our first race, we're going to start off with, a night race, because why not? I thought I would go and have a look at the tuning options just to see what there was there. I didn't suspect that anything would be different, and sure enough, if you played a Forza game before, you're going to know all of these options. At the end of the day, if it's not broke, why fix it? It's a perfectly good and perfectly in-depth system for fine-tuning your vehicle. Of course, this being a standard car, not very much that you can do with it. As we set off the opening race, or the race that we have here, kind of the first race you do with your own personal vehicle, relatively short point to point, but the vehicles that you'll race against are going to be tailored to the car that you chose. So I went for the Ute, so we're going to be racing against other Utes, other utility vehicles. I also continue my theme of crashing into all the Fords that I see. Unintentionally, on that one, I bounced my way across a sand dune and just lost the back end and couldn't catch it in time. And here it was very, very narrow, so I had to kind of make a point of getting the Holden through. I didn't spin the Ford out, I didn't put the Ford into a wall, so that's okay. The Cyclone then decides that he'll join in the bumping. Yeah, don't know why the Cyclone turned into me. The driver tars on here, as ever when I do with Forza games, I stuck them on the highest difficulty. I think it's unbeatable, if I remember the name of it. Either way, it's on the highest difficulty. All the assists are turned off. The driver tars are not quite the same kamikaze buggers that we have seen on, previous motorsport games and so on. You can actually race with them pretty damn well on the most part. Admittedly, though, perhaps a little on the easy side. This is the toughest difficulty. At this stage, I'd only been playing the game about 20 minutes, if that, and I was streaking away from the cars around me. Now, the cars are balanced to the vehicle that you're driving. I'm driving a standard A-Class Ute. The vehicles around, if they're not, standard A-Class, they're modified up to A-Class. So the vehicles are comparative to whatever you're driving. And yeah, I got to the front and sort of buggered off at this stage. Now, actual handling physics-wise, you play the previous Horizon game, previous Forza games, it's going to feel familiar. It's a great handling system, always has been, and it continues to be fantastic fun to go driving around here. The El Camino got second ahead of the Cyclone in this race, ahead of a whole horde of Fords trying to chase down my slightly bumpy Maloo. Yeah, handling is a little bit more forgiving than you get from the motorsport games. Horizon always has been. It makes it good fun for going exploring, racing. I mean, there's still plenty of challenge when you're trying to drive these cars through unfriendly terrain, or you're trying to, race around at very, very high speeds, etc. It's not a completely horrendously arcadey game, but it is just that little bit more forgiving than you get from the motorsport games. The car's not suddenly going to get twitchy and fling you at a wall or a tree. I mean, it might if you've done something really very, very stupid, but you kind of get what I mean. It's a little bit more forgiving. You'll get away with a little bit more. As far as race events go, of course, you've got your point-to-point races, your circuit races, and so on, as you would expect as you play through the career mode. There's also some various events. Now, I don't know how many different types of these events. As I said, I only got to play the first couple of hours and got distracted plenty during that. There are some new types, though. There is a stunt jump sort of thing. I can't remember what they call it on here. We'll find out in a few seconds here for you to complete. In each of these events, they've got drift zones. They're the two that I saw. They could well be different ones. These things, along with the speed cameras that we've had in previous Horizon games, are scored with a star system. They're up to 3 stars for each of them. The more stars you get, the more fans you get, the more that you can unlock. Fairly straightforward. The way that I approached this, because I was curious if I could just climb up the mountain, or not really mountain, climb up the hill to get to it, I kind of approached it from completely the wrong angle. The game respawned, pointing me at the jump. It kind of already had enough speed to go and take across it, and that got me some more fans, etc., to progress through the game. And I'm pretty sure there are leaderboards for all of these. So much like we had with the speed cameras, you can compete against your friends who can get the fastest time through them. When it comes to the jumps, who can get the longest jump, or who can get the most drift points, etc. I was having a look through the menu, seeing if there's any options. At this stage, the game's still kind of wanting you to go through the various races, the various events to make progress. Now, you'll notice I've gone to a third-person camera. I don't really like driving that much in third-person view, but I thought people might want to see some footage from otherwise I would just drive everything from the cockpit. That's where I am most comfortable driving from, and where I like driving. But yeah, I thought I'd try. I'm not as good from this viewpoint, so I went to find the next race, this time going for a circuit race once more, racing with all of the utility vehicle. It suits me. This is my kind of racing, really. I like these slightly obscure cars, and the Maloo was great fun. Great fun to drive. It's as sideways and silly as you would kind of expect the many horsepower ute to be. I think about 600 horsepower. I don't know where I got 600 from. I think that's right. Either way, it's bonkers, and I really do quite like racing this car. Run a little bit wide. The checkpoints are pretty well positioned, I gotta say. In all of my time spent on this game, the only issues I had, the only times I missed them, were me being stupid, basically. Either I overdrove a corner, or I was trying to cut a corner a little bit too much. It wasn't that a checkpoint was placed at a slightly wonky angle for a corner, so you'd have to kind of like miss an apex to get a checkpoint. That never happened at any point during these races. So yeah, the only times you're going to get in trouble with that is because it is your mistake. Everyone was checking up a little bit as we came over that crest there, managed to get past 2 Fords, and then it's through the middle to make up 4 positions in one straight. Always helpful when you can make up that many positions. The rain would come falling down as well. Once more, we have this dynamic weather. Might slightly have bumped into the van on that overtake. Like, I have a heap of positions on this lap. Slide up the inside to climb into second place. Yeah, we've got the dynamic weather. Again, similar to what we saw in Horizon 2. Equally, the wet roads don't seem to make a huge difference to grip. I think slightly slipperier. Admittedly, again, in my time playing this was about the only instance I saw of rain. I'm trying to think back now, but certainly I didn't see a huge amount of rain. That could just be luck. I don't know the algorithms that go into the weather, but it wasn't suddenly massively leery going around these corners. I could still carry plenty of speed. I could still relatively aggressively track the circuit. Again, I had a little bit of a poor start in this race, but you see the driver tars were once more not throwing up huge competition. If you build your car stupidly, and certainly later on I was driving around in a 1,000 horsepower Dart because I could, and that had mostly engine upgrades and next to no handling upgrades, and I did a few races with that, and then I couldn't really keep up with the AIs. I blasted past them the second we got to a straight, but couldn't really keep up with them over the course of the lap. They just handled far too well. So yeah, if you build your car stupidly, sure, you might have some more trouble, but relatively balanced cars, I'll be honest, on the most part, the driver tars weren't too difficult. Although that might change. Again, I haven't played through all of the circuits, I don't know. Or whether it was just I was really in tune with the Maloo. I guess it's possible, but there we go. Either way, managed to complete this race, nearly ending up in the fence as I crossed the finish line. There are plenty. Actually, it was a 1-2 for Maloos. I didn't realise that. Hey, Holden. Normally I'd be a Ford person, but they didn't give me an option to have a Ford to start with, so I'm cheering on the Holdens in all of this. I've completely lost track of that now. I realise the Maloos actually ended up with a 1-2. I know where I was going. Yes, trackside obstacles. You saw very nearly ended up in the fence, across the finish line, to bump off one wall. There's a lot more in terms of destructibility around. Fences and so on will get knocked over. Trees, some bigger trees will fall over if you hit them hard enough. Wheel spins are also back. I didn't get anything interesting from my time playing the wheel spins. Got some money, but never won any cars. There's sort of less stuff that will just instantly stop you during a race. You'll drive through plenty of stuff. So if you do make a little mistake and you end up running wide, it's not instant race over. You've got to restart. You've got to use a rewind and so on. There is, again, it's a little bit more forgiving. It also encourages perhaps experimenting a little bit more with different lines, perhaps, to get around a circuit. Horizon encourages you to try and find a shortcut, possibly, on a race. And of course, you're still going to have to get through all of the checkpoints. And when it comes to like cross-country races, there's a lot more leeway in terms of going for alternate routes and trying to find better ways throughout the track. I had to go back to cockpit view. I'd had enough of third person. Now the main sort of thrust of the game is you're the leader of the Horizon Festival. As you complete races, you get fans. As you get more and more fans, you upgrade the festivals. You choose locations for new ones. I'll probably go a little bit more into the career mode in a different video. At this stage, I just got to sort of level 2. I'd unlocked the second stage of the festival. As I go bound, I was curious just to fire my Maloo at the scenery and go in a straight line and see if I could get all the way to the destination. Doing that, it was a very, very big flight. Amazingly, in my first hour of playing, and all the recorded footage that I had, at no point did I roll any cars, which I know is very, very weird for me. I got incredibly close multiple times, but I didn't roll anything. I got pretty much all the way there, until we got to the actual sort of festival bits and pieces that I had to change course slightly. We go, well, very sideways. We're on dirt. The Maloo is more than happy to spin its wheels and slide about. Also, being so used to driving in American games, I'm on the wrong side. It's weird. Of course, being English, we would drive on the same side of the road as you do in Australia here, but I'm so used to playing American games that I'm used to driving on the other side. And it took me a little bit of time to get used to. So yeah, there'll be a fair few times where I'm driving down the wrong side of the road. Get to the festival, it'll automatically upgrade itself. I don't think it actually makes a difference so much as to what you can do as these things upgrade. I didn't notice any sort of difference to the services, etc. It's just progress through the game. You get these things to higher tiers, etc. When you do get these upgrades, when you get new festival locations unlocked, you get a choice. At the early stage, you get a choice of a free vehicle, which here we've got some SUVs. It's quite keen to get you off-roading early on. Later stages, it might not give you free cars, but it'll give you a big money off, so it's sort of worth buying. Whether you actually need one of the cars that it's showing, you get a big percentage of the money off, so it might be worth picking one up. I went for the Lamborghini Urus because it is a crazy SUV. The design system is fairly similar to Forza 6, although there is now a proper storefront. The proper storefront is back. Didn't get to have a look at that. However, that is a thing, so you can search for designs that way, not just through this sort of search system that we have. It's nice having both options. So if you do just want to buy a car and pick a random nice livery, that's still there. But if you want to search through, or you want to follow certain creators, or see what your friends are doing and so on, there is also the proper storefront options, which is fantastic. It's nice having the storefront back, having now got the Lamborghini. I was curious to see quite what it was that they could do with the car. Again, I talked more in depth about upgrades in the previous video, but there's still interesting, plenty of powerful engines and so on to go into the vehicle. Along with the Viper V10, there's also the 5.2 V10. The V12 is also here. I look forward to finding out what is the most powerful engine that you can put into the cars. Of course, you can do all of your different drivetrain swaps. I wanted to see if we had a mighty wing. It's a silly wing, really, on the Urus. Not sure I would quite call it a mighty wing on the back of this one, but it gets a double wing. Of course, with there being wide body kits and so on, there's going to be plenty of crazy looking vehicles on here. And as I said, the customization is excellent. They're now just wanting to talk through some more events for us to go and compete in, having now gone and got the Lamborghini. The PR stunts, that's what you saw me do with the stunt jump. They can also be the bucket list events. Rather than having them as a separate thing, now they're all part of the festival themselves, so they're used to gain fans to progress through. I was having a look to see if I could go back and buy a new car on my own, but at this stage it was still wanting me to go through and do the events. Managing to stall the Lamborghini in setting off here. But yeah, as far as car driving, car physics goes, it's as exquisite as Forza games always are. It is a lot of fun. You can certainly throw the cars off-road. That is the one wall blocking progress that I found in the entire time. It was that one there that was heading me straight down towards a cliff that it didn't want me to jump down. But yeah, that is going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.